Traveling to me is really stressful.
I have this like really ridiculous ability to compartmentalize
So I feel like
anxiety.
5 is
About
gettable.
something
I
like
think
that.
where they're gonna mess up is
To
the
the point where it's
negatives.
like,
Because
Or, like, other
they
people would be
have
losing
6
their
over
minds.
5 and the negative 6
I'm like,
over
you're gonna be
5,
fine.
I think because they're just gonna be like, oh, it's negative.
like I bought tickets to Mexico
Because you're
not
dividing
even
with
knowing
negative
that I was.
5.
Yeah.
Or
But
someone
you
bought me
first,
tickets to
like, you
Mexico not
first
even
have to
knowing that I was
subtract
able to,
6x, which
have a
makes that
passport.
negative, and then divide a negative, so.
And they could either,
Yeah,
their errors are
something
gonna be
I'll figure out
either
later. It just, like,
just
don't
putting
get stressed
6x
out
on the right, or it's going to be remembering
Seeing your
that that
husband, yeah.
double negative equals a positive.
So yeah, we have, so I think like, so if you're trying to hammer this
I
then
never
with those
packed
students
before
get it
the
right,
day
like
of,
what
the day before.
are the 2 things or 3 things you want, like they have to get right every time on a problem like this?
Everything is printed out.
Correctly
twice,
moving things over.
And then I get to the airport like 2 hours early minimum.
That's what my mom is.
I go to all the bookstores
And
then sit there and just.
I think it kind of goes along with number 6 of just
We
like a
used to always
review
get
of
so
like
many fights is like
fractions.
flying as a
Like,
family because
I
my mom would
mean,
be like, all right.
obviously in a more complex manner, not just like fractions in general, but I think like,
wildly inaccurate, mom. Like,
When you see a negative over a negative, what is
Yeah.
your answer? Because like you can see answer C,
to
you don't know that,
6
no,
hours.
that's negative, I'm gonna
Like,
pick that, so.
Yep.
an hour and a half and like.
I don't think they're gonna
you
pick
could
D
just
and
hear the
E.
anxiety in her voice, like,
I don't really think they could pick B, but because 5 is already associated with, like because 5 is with the Y, they're probably gonna go X,
Yeah, I
Y
mean-
if they do, but I really think it'll be most common distractor is 6.
Well, I think also like with what we've learned so far, D and E are gonna not like resonate with them because like they know what the Y-intercept is. Like those are
Yeah.
for kids who don't know the difference between slope and Y-intercept, but they've
There's
hit
this
So
that.
there'll be a
But that's
small
why it's
fraction of
like,
kids who
well,
choose them maybe, but
But I mean, I don't think that would be a common.
No.
I think like our distractors are gonna be either our most common distractors are gonna be A, because that's gonna be where they mess up the negative. So it's just like we don't know where the negative gets messed up. We know there's 2 places it could happen.
right.
So I think it is. I think it's more gettable than we think. It's just like there's
Yeah.
2 places where the same mistake can come out, so we have to make sure we hit those things.
Okay. Number 6 is just, I mean, it's a simple like.
His girlfriend texted me and was like,
I think
By the way,
the
like, I've been
statistical
in New
part
York this week.
is easy in that it's
so
like
the
A, it's a
counted
small word.
clean,
It's
my
not
fault that you're stupid
super
brothers or something
complexly
like that.
worded as
I
a
sent him a
word
list of things he
problem.
needed to do, and I'm like, listen,
But they're gonna
I'm
have
looking
to
for 18
think
years.
through.
Like, I'm very
There's
aware.
2 A's, and they're gonna have to think through how do I,
Inability to keep me.
kind of going back to 5 of like the hammering and fractions. They're gonna have to remember I need to reduce.
Yeah. And the one
Because they're
thing
gonna be like 2 over 8, that's not there. But I think it
Some home errands.
was 1/8.
yeah, 1/8, 1/3, 1/4, and then 3/8 and 2/3.
Yeah.
I mean, the 3/8 one I think is just like that's just if you do it for L, but I mean that seems completely
Yeah.
out there. I don't think that's really an option. So I think we're talking about 2 things here: probability, and just remembering that's 2 over 8, which I think like from what I've seen in class, they seem pretty strong on just like identifying probability, and then just making sure we're hitting reducing fractions. And that could
Reducing
be-
fractions in both manners, really.
Yeah.
I mean, the negatives is also a reducing fractions kind of thing.
So I think we're then seeing that 5 and 6 both have potential
Yeah.
distractors in fraction reducing, or even negative reducing with fractions. So maybe that's a small homework assignment or a do now assignment. Maybe that's something you do for comeback kids, where it's like we're going to go over how to reduce fractions. Maybe show them how
I
to
like
do it.
that.
Maybe show them how to do it in the calculator so that they have access to it if they're not getting it right away.
I think the comeback kids part would be really good. I told you about the kid who was
Yeah,
like,
super excited.
"You should have come to comeback kids. You
Yeah,
would have gotten
you
it
would've
right
gotten
then."
it.
I was like,
Ouch. Self-regulating.
"Yeah." The kid was like,
support
"What?
systems.
What are you talking about?" And he was like, "You would know what you were talking about."
Yeah.
It was great.
You would know strong for doing it.
It was great. He keeps bringing it up too.
I love it. Just the way
It's not even. It's just a lower end kid. It's
Yeah.
not even like a kid with needs.
but he's still a part of the
Yeah, for sure.
process. Number 7 is another gettable one, but the words are going to throw us off. So
To be honest, I kind of skipped looking at that for now. Like when I was first going over it, I skipped it because I was like, "That's way too long."
it looks way too long, but I think it's actually there's one place where I think this is written.
So maybe if I do like a comeback kids office hours where we just focus on like interim type things, where it's just like a review of like fractions and like more of the simple things of like, I just need to kind of pause in. My hardest part is like figure out where comeback kids can fit into what we're currently doing, because I don't want them confused.
You feel like they're off, yeah. I think it's like, because a lot of this stuff is what you're currently doing. Like, you guys have been working on slope and things forever. It's just like the last step is what's going to throw them off, and that's the fraction part. Like, you've been working on probability. The last step of reducing the fractions will throw them off. So I think what you sell it to them as is, right now, like, you guys know ACT problems, interim problems have that final step that you have to do. Like, there's never just one thing.
Oh,
It's
no,
always one
never.
or two things or three
Yes.
things. So, like, I know you can do step 1 and 2, but I don't want you to get the answer wrong because you couldn't do the last step. So I went through and figured out what the last steps are that are going to throw you off, and that's what we're going to work on this week, just so you're prepared in this 2 weeks. I think that's a pretty easy sell, because it's I'm already a little bit afraid of these tests. I know there's so many different things they ask me to do.
Yeah.
I think you just circled number 7s. I think it's
Yep.
going to throw them off.
Yep. They're getting the hang. I mean, we've just been doing this during Junos. We are going to do this during actual content, I'm assuming.
It ends
Probability.
up becoming part of junior year. Like, we actually teach these things in junior year, but
Got it.
they're gettable from middle school. They learned in middle school.
Yeah. A lot of
so-
them were like, I learned this in middle school. Why are we learning it now? It's like, because you didn't get it right.
Yeah. Like, because data says you didn't remember this from middle school. But, like, once you remind them of what it is, it's like the fundamental counting theorem is pretty straightforward, just putting a name to it. But I think you already circled the part, so why is that
Yep.
going to throw us off?
Because they're not going to think that's 1 out of 2.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, so I can choose, because they're going to see number for ice cream flavors, they're going to see number for toppings, and number for syrup flavor. But then they're not going to see that number for the whipped cream.
Yeah, and I think that is answer choice B, is when you multiply 21, 11, and 4. So, like, they're gonna walk right into that trap unless they read it. It is in there twice, though. The whether or not is in there in the first part and in the question, so there's 2 chances for them to catch on to that.
Okay.
But I think, like, as far as problems that are like longer word problems but still gettable, this is one of the ones that they could probably get.
And that's something that I think, like, a lot of kids could end up getting wrong, so maybe just hammering that in Junos of, like, it doesn't always have to have, like, an explicitly stated number. If it's something that it's, like, can choose between different colors or something like that, like, that's a bad example, but
No,
I mean
I-
something like this where it's like, this is a 2, so I just need to multiply all of these.
I remember there used to be a problem that we did in 10th grade math that was like, you could have 3 bedrooms or 2 bedrooms. You could have 1 car garage or 2 car garage, and like everyone would just multiply 3 and 2 because they saw the numbers. But it was like, actually there's only 2 types of garages. So, like, that's the challenge of these, is understanding what is going on. I think we've since gone to Rochelle's ice cream store here because that question was so hard to sift through the numbers and data. But, like, that's yeah.
Well, and like the 2 makes a huge difference. I didn't think that it was, but then again, 924 times 2 is going to be significantly more. So
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's one of the things that kids love about these problems. Like, there are so many combinations grow so quickly. Like, wait, you can really get thousands of combinations at Subway. It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, there's so many choices, and it's kind of a real life. I can have all the sandwiches I want kind of thing.
yeah,
But yeah, I think it's a gettable one,
It
but
is.
it's
You're
a
right.
heavy reading one, and so they do have to pay attention to whether or not piece, which is
going to the whether or not piece, the not piece of
Yeah.
number 8 is definitely. I mean, like, I'm feeling good about this interim because of the fact that there are so many gettable things that are actually not that many steps. Like, this is really a 3-step equation for number 8, but I mean, even number 7 is not that much. But because of that, like, last step piece of, like, I know 70 or 7 out of 70 out of 100. Again, that reducing fraction piece is going to be huge. 2 is 7 over 10.
And now once I have that, that's the chance that it does rain.
And then
the
realizing
reading
not.
part, it's not raining now.
It's going to be
Yeah.
that 10 minus 7.
And so we know, like, we're going to
Yeah.
probably see a lot of G. That's one we have to look out for. I don't know how many people are going to pick H. And it's a possibility because
They would have also had to go through this step, though,
Yeah.
of realizing that it's 10 minus 7 to get 3.
yeah. So again, I think we're looking at like we're gonna.
Yeah.
I think we're looking at two very realistic answer choices here, and then
The rest, I have no idea where those come from.
I mean I think J is just making a mistake in reducing your first fraction. Or something.
Yeah,
I mean,
something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, and it's also I mean another one that has more steps than you would think from the lead.
Right. But I mean, it really is just, if I count this as 1, 2, 3, 4, like realizing that 70 out of 100 in the first place.
I mean, they could also realize that it's the opposite. Like the complement of 70% is 30%,
Mm-hmm.
and then do 3 out of 10 that way. So
True.
if they
But
start,
they do-
gotta subtract and do a reduced fraction at some point. Just
Yeah.
that depends on what order they choose to do it in.
Yeah. This one's good too. 9, I really don't think that they'll have problems with. The only thing I think is remembering that cosine is up or is adjacent over hypotenuse.
Yeah, I think just remembering, like going back to your SOHCAHTOA or just
Yeah.
sticking that and like review in somewhere. Because I think that's they should know their triples by now. They've been tripling pretty well. So like, or they could use the Pythagorean
Which kids are
theorem.
we talking about? A lot of them haven't seen those those patterns yet because we didn't explicitly teach it. They're just like, oh, that's 5.
This
And I'm
keeps
like,
happening.
it's always
It's
5.
always 5.
It's a pattern. It's gonna repeat. Just like 8, 15, 17.
I mean, that's one of those ones too that saves time, but I don't think we actually have to worry about saving time
Mhm.
with our lowest kids. We actually worry about getting it right because they're not going to access
Right.
the bottom, especially on this interim. The last 30 are not in the things really take a turn for the crazy in the back half of this one. Yes, they do. I mean,
That's right.
I'm-
Amber was like, yeah, there's some difficult ones in the interim. I'm kind of worried.
Yeah,
It's like,
I mean,
great.
the front, but we purposely rewrote it to front load with some gettable ones because this one used to be all hard in the past. It used to start at number 20 basically and go from there. Like we front loaded some of these things.
I'm thank you. For
It's
yes.
like we need some easier problems on this one.
Yeah,
So I mean, they're
Never
Pythagorean
know these
theorem and then
things.
remember your cosine.
No,
I think
not in here.
the first part Pythagorean theorem they're gonna be fine.
I'm already when we get back from break, I think I'm gonna do a Pythagorean theorem rerun because what we're currently doing with the area, it's messing them up because they're not recognizing I have a right triangle, I'm missing a side, Pythagorean theorem. They're not thinking through that, and so because they're not, it's really affecting their
It's
classwork
hurting
too.
their classwork right
It
now
is.
because the composites are loaded up with red triangles.
Kulvik spelling problems.
All the math terms have crazy names.
Pythagorean. So 9 is gettable. They're just, it's honestly actually like fewer steps than the others.
Mm-hmm.
And if they recognize the patterns, which most of our middle kids do,
It's a quick problem.
it's a super quick problem.
Gabrielle, your shoes. I mean, yeah. What do you think do you skip Gabrielle your shoes? If you read that problem, you'll probably change your. I think about it differently.
My thing is that they're likely going to just go to, well, does she actually get the discount?
Yeah, she does get
Remember
the
this
discount. I think she barely gets the discount.
Well, then they're fine.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. Okay. You're
I mean,
right.
yeah,
that
this
is
is
okay.
similar to that
If it-
second
it-
problem.
This would have been much more rigorous if she hadn't have got the discount,
Then the reading is really important.
because then the reading would be really important, but also doing this step first, and then going back and realizing but if she gets a discount then.
Yeah, right now they could just do the discount and all three things add up. They're gonna get it right because they didn't ever actually check to see that the issue was over $80.
Okay.
But yeah, the only thing over $80 is there just to, I think,
Mess you
provide
up.
an extra number that's not necessary.
Oh,
kind of
it's
thing.
because we love providing extra numbers
That's-
or extra
it's-
words.
That's not that's an ACT thing.
Okay. Well, tests love
Tests love
providing
providing
extra
extra
words.
information.
This is another one where I feel like reviewing 4
If you're doing
and
four-
possibly doing the writing assignment error analysis of that is gonna help with 11 being pretty gettable. But honestly, actually, an isosceles, thinking that this is isosceles, and then there's like, even if they think that 52 is a base angle, 52 and 48 are both not answers, which actually kind of helps them. And I think they know how to solve this otherwise. Why is 260 an option?
Because if you think it's 360 degrees in a triangle, you subtract that out.
Got it?
You get 260.
Okay. So this is 80.
The one
yeah.
where you get, I don't know where 4 came from. Some of these.
4
I
degrees.
know I'm responsible for the test, and I should have noticed this a long time ago. I'm like, where did 4? Oh, it's
Where does 10 come
52
from?
minus 48. 10 comes from 100 minus 90. If you assume that,
Okay.
like, you need to
Okay.
use, it's like we tried to use the angle measures that they're most likely to just throw out there if they,
Right.
and then 4 is just subtracting the 2 angles. That's where it came from.
Oh. Which I can see, like,
Very possible.
kid like Xavier Perez definitely is going to do that.
Or if you misdraw an exterior angle, then it is just subtracting. So, I mean, there's ways that other kids could run into
Yeah,
that problem.
I
But
see
yeah,
that.
it's like avoiding that trap of I'm stacking them together.
And then not actually doing anything of finding Z is just like, hey, got it.
Yeah.
What do you think about 12?
I mean, I think there's a lot of additional steps to it because you have
Yeah.
to find the distance difference.
Yeah.
I don't think this is one that I would want to spend a ton of time on because it's
Mm-mm.
not straightforward, and then there's so many extra steps to it. It's not that it's not gettable; it's just that there's so many places to go wrong.
How do you do 13?
So when you're talking about this, when it's saying what point does it intersect the x-axis, what does it want kids to do? Like, what does it actually ask them to find? Or you don't know. So it's so that's just a way of asking for the x-intercept. So it just wants to know when y is 0.
So I would just plug in.
You would just plug in 0 for y and then solve for x.
Okay. 2 reasons why I think this one is going to be super complicated is knowing that in the first place. They're going to choose the y-intercept.
They gave the definition instead of saying x-intercept, which makes it a little bit more difficult.
And also remembering, because it's just y by itself, like remembering that to divide by that -1 to get 4x plus 2.
But also, they don't even have to go that far. They could just start by putting in 0 for y and solving from there.
Oh, true. So
So
that
like-
would make it...
It makes it a little bit easier if they remember that. If they remember that the x-intercept is when y is 0.
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of things to remember there.
So then do I just say this? So they could actually
So
put in
you-
0 for y here.
You can do it for, yeah, you can do that for here too. You're solving for x either way. So like here you just make it 4x equals -2 and then divide by 4. Because that 0 is just going to go away.
Oh, I just need to divide by 4 here.
Mm-hmm.
So we have reducing fractions,
And then like the big thing
which
is
we've addressed,
a couple
we will
times now,
address a
yeah.
couple times, yeah. So
But
that's
yeah.
going to be really important. Come back kids lesson.
We also have the definition of x-intercept.
Mhm.
Like, it's not just saying x-intercept, it's saying cross the x-axis.
And then,
Then they also can't graph their way out of this one.
and
unfortunately.
then you have to remember that x is when y is 0 in,
In the point 2.
In the point.
In the answer choice.
yeah.
So like you have C could be like if you flip your point at the end. D
For sure.
if you lose a negative somewhere.
A,
A if you divide 2 instead if you 4 by 2 instead of 2 by 4. Like
they're all
all-
ones that could be distractors. I honestly am not sure which one is going to be the most common. I guess I would say probably the -2.
I think that would be the one.
Because they're going to go, I don't remember where x-axis is, I'm just going to choose A.
Like a sped modification for them.
I also think like in terms of the number of things you have to do in terms of reading, like you have to read this very well. It's a short question that requires a lot of technical reading skills.
Yeah.
In terms of knowing math, so it's not necessarily a reading problem like that one that was long with the numbers. It's a one that requires you to actually know this definition in a very specific way and then apply it.
Oh, yeah,
So I
so
think like the number of steps there is probably not worth trying to go
Oh, yours
through
is not.
No.
for this particular neuron. Like those are all good things to know.
So
Yeah.
either
But I
this
think like
weekend
just
or
in this
next
time frame you're looking at.
Are they either this
So